California Democratic Congressman Khanna wants political reform. Chances are, so do you. And back on December 14th, Congressman Khanna introduced a reform resolution. It calls for 5 things. Here's Representative Khanna listing each one.
First, a ban on all PAC and lobbyist money. Second, a ban on members of Congress trading stock. Third, a ban on members ever becoming lobbyists. Fourth, term limits for members of Congress and Supreme Court justices. And fifth, a binding code of ethics for the Supreme Court.
Democratic California representative, member of both the House Armed Services Committee and the Oversight Committee, Khanna, joins me. Good evening, sir. And your resolution, what provoked you to do this now, especially in an election year when I assume that's not going to be too popular with your colleagues?
Well, Greta, Happy New Year. Thanks for having me on. I was looking for something that could bring this country together. And you know what people on the left and right agree on? It's that Congress and the Beltway are broken. It used to be people came here to serve the public and the common good and not just go do the bidding of the highest bidder. And so these are common sense reforms supported by both sides of the aisle.
Well, you know, it's interesting looking at them. I mean, one of the things a lot of people think, and maybe we can tell me whether it's a myth or true, that there are some people who come to Congress, spend a lot of time, and for reasons that are unclear, seem to make a lot of money. They seem to come out a lot richer. Not everybody, but there are few. Is that fact or fiction?
Well, look, I think there is a case of bad apples, but regardless of whether people are abusing the trust, there's certainly a perception issue. And then it's not just that people may be engaged in stock trades. It's also that they go out, they're on the Armed Services Committee, and then they get on the board of Raytheon or Lockheed or are becoming lobbyists for those companies. I mean, Greta, the president who won World War II, Harry Truman, after he won, he was invited to come to Washington, D.C. to give a speech, and he wrote a letter saying, I'm a bit embarrassed. I can't afford the train fare there. Could you cover my train fare? We've gone from that to people making millions of dollars after public service, and that's not what this is supposed to be about.
Now, with a little more history, too, is that President Eisenhower, who was General Eisenhower winning World War II, he said in his last speech to the country, beware the military-industrial complex, was his last speech to America, worrying about the whole arms industry. And, of course, a lot of people do rotate out to work in that industry. All right. One of the things you call for is a judicial ethics code for the Supreme Court, and for the life of me, I don't know why they don't self-impose that. And I don't know how, though, with separation of the branches of government, how you could impose one on the Supreme Court.
Well, Congress is still Article 1 of the Constitution. Look, when I go out for lunch or if I go out for dinner, if someone pays more than $50, I have to disclose it, as does every colleague. And by the way, almost 99% of my colleagues do. I don't understand why the same rule wouldn't apply to Supreme Court justices. I mean, if they're getting a gift, if they're getting some value, they should have to disclose it to the American public. And that seems so obvious to me.
We want 18-year term limits for future Supreme Court justices. Of course, that would take a constitutional amendment. Is there any appetite for anything like that?
Well, Greta, not necessarily, because the Constitution says that you have to be a judge for life. It doesn't say that you have to be on the Supreme Court for life. And so you could go to the circuit court or district court. In our founding, people thought that you would be on the Supreme Court as a culmination of your service. After you were a distinguished jurist, maybe the time you were in your 50s and 60s, and of course life expectancy was different. No one thought we'd be gaming the system, putting people on the court, and both parties do this, in their early 40s and trying to have them there for 40, 50 years. That was never the founding intent. And it's been abused, and I think that's what's led to the extreme politicization of the court.
Why are so many people running for Congress? I must tell you, we usually like punching bags. We punch you all the time. Your opponents say horrible things about you. The favorability of Congress is low, almost as bad as lawyers and members of the media, of which I'm both. But what's the attraction?
Greta, I got to tell you something. As a son of immigrants, I mean, my grandfather spent 4 years in jail alongside Gandhi fighting for Indian independence. My parents came here in the 1960s. I was born in Philadelphia in our bicentenary. I went to public school, grew up in a middle-class family. The idea that I'm one of 435 people who gets a say in the direction of the greatest nation ever created in human history is an awesome responsibility. It is an incredible honor. I love every day I'm here, and I consider it an extraordinary privilege. And I hope if there's one thing that young people watching take away, it's that this is still the most open, best political system in the world. It's tough. We've had bad days, but this is still a great democracy.
Yeah, and I sometimes think that, we in the media, we don't really, set the record straight on what Congress is. I mean, we sometimes fuel some of the problems. I mean, there are a lot of things that need to be fixed, but in my industry as well. California Congressman Khanna, I hope you come back. There's a lot of things to talk about, always. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Greta.